That was our accompanist, Whitaker Locke, playing hymn 197, There Are Numerous Strings. Welcome to the live Zoom version of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Columbus, an inclusive religious community of people supporting each other in the search for truth and meaning. I'm Rick Spradlin, your service leader for today. And now I'll turn the service back over to David for a quick Zoom reminder.
Thanks, Rick. As always, we are recording this for presentation to YouTube. So if you, let's see, get my graphic there. There we go. So if you don't want your face showing up on the video, you can stop your video. Of course, we like seeing your faces, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our YouTube views are climbing. After the close of the service, after the closing musical number by Whitaker, that's when we'll have our Q&A and chat time after that. And that will not be recorded, so it won't be part of the YouTube. So you can feel free to express yourselves. Back to you, Rick.
Hey, thank you, David. And now for our morning announcements. Remember that we're still collecting for the Homeless Resource Network. We're still collecting coats for Pas Amigos, and we're collecting for Feeding the Valley. We have boxes on the front porch of the fellowship where you can drop things off. Next Sunday, February 14th, our service will be On the Side of Love Sunday. This will be a video presentation from the UUA itself. So we'll join on Zoom and then we'll watch together. February 21st, I'll have a topic again, and February 28th, Ron Ussery will present Doubting Thomas. You should have received an email this week from our president, Hal Majette, and if you haven't read Hal's most recent letter, you can check our website for all of Hal's past letters. And now time to light our chalice. The chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It speaks to us of reason, tolerance, and freedom, and also of compassion, respect, and love. May its flame ever warm and illuminate our lives. And now let us once again affirm the 7 principles which sum up the core values that Unitarian Universalist congregations support and promote. Number 1, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Number 2, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Number 3, the acceptance of one another and the encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. Number 4, the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Number 5, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process in our congregations and in society at large. 6, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And 7, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. And now for our celebration of life toast. If you have something to drink, you can use that or just toast with me in spirit. We celebrate life. We celebrate life with its beauty and its pain. We lift these cups in tribute to the achievements of human minds and hands and in sensitivity to the frustrations of misfortune and heartache. Not fixing blame or credit for the outcome of chance, sensing the risk, savoring the joy, sharing it all. Knowing of the certainty of death and remembering the value of each moment, we drink our toast of celebration to this time, to the future, to each other, to the throbbing of the earth and sea and sky with life. Together, we drink this toast in celebration of life. And now for our offering. If you would like to contribute, you can mail your contribution to UU Fellowship of Columbus, Box 698, Fortson, Georgia, 31808. This information will now be posted in the chat box. Also, our PayPal account is back up and running again. And now Whitaker will play for us. And now a reading from one of our members, Danielle Neal.
Thank you for joining me today. I've chosen two small readings that I feel both reflect the topic that Rick is speaking about, as well as celebrates Black History Month. The first is an excerpt from Barack Obama's book, Dreams from My Father, A Story of Race and Inheritance. In his only skirmish into organized religion, he would enroll the family in the local Unitarian Universalist congregation. He liked the idea that Unitarians drew on the scriptures of all great religions. "It's like you get 5 religions in one," he would say. Toot would eventually dissuade him of his views on the church. "For Christ's sake, Stanley, religion's not supposed to be like buying breakfast cereal." The second is by Oprah Winfrey. "I've come to believe that each of us has a personal calling that's as unique as a fingerprint, and that the best way to succeed is to discover what you love and then find a way to offer it to others in the form of service, working hard, and also allowing the energy of the universe to lead you. I hope you find the energy of the universe to lead you through the rest of today, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend."
Thank you, Danielle. Life can be confusing and lonely at times. It helps to have family. A religion is a type of extended family. It helps us by giving us a sense of belonging and reaches beyond the usual bonds of blood or nationality. It helps us when we need guidance. It acts like a landmark when we're trying to find direction. Unitarian Universalism is considered by some to be more of a philosophy than a religion. But if you think of religion as a system of morality expressed through ritual customs, then UU is a rather unique religion. The first thing you must understand about Unitarian Universalism is that it's not like any other religion. Now, I know that may sound like an empty claim since, well, every religion is not like any other. You can go on the internet and spend hours reading blogs and articles written by believers about how their faith is unlike any other and about how their theology is truly unique. But if you're new to UU, or you're wanting to know more about it, or struggle, as we all sometimes do, with trying to explain what it is, then I hope this morning's talk will be helpful. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you're trying to explain to someone about what UU is, do not start with a history lesson about what we used to be. Only those who already know who we are would have any interest in how we came to be. Focus your energy instead on who we are now. This isn't a talk on elevator speeches, those short, easy to remember explanations of what UU is. We can do that another time. This is a little more in-depth than that. This will be a more lengthy introduction than one that can be memorized. We should begin with our principles and purposes, known as our 7 principles. As a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association, we covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience, and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, and respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. We list or recite these 7 principles every Sunday. What we usually don't recite are the 6 sources from which these 7 principles are derived from. They are, 1, the direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. 2, the words and deeds of prophetic women and men who challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. 3, the wisdom from the world's religions, which inspires us in our ethical and spiritual life. 4, Jewish and Christian teachings, which call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves. 5, humanist teachings, which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science, and warn us against idolatries of the mind and spirit. And 6, the spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions, which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. The Reverend Dr. William F. Schultz, former president of the Unitarian Universalist Association and executive director of Amnesty International USA, wrote a series of questions and answers about our faith that goes like this. The first most common question is, what is Unitarian Universalism? Ours is a religion based on the conviction that the meaning of life, its mystery, and its grandeur outspills every human attempt to capture it in a single sentence. Most religions teach that life's meaning has been revealed in a single person or event, metaphor, or myth. For Jews, it is the covenant. For Buddhists, it is enlightenment. For Orthodox Christians, it is the grace of God as manifested in Jesus Christ. But for Unitarian Universalists, it is all of these and more. We believe that the glory of life is so great that it defies every attempt to squeeze it into a narrow category. That is why ours is a creedless faith. Second common question, but if you have no creed, does that mean that Unitarian Universalists can believe anything? Well, no, not at all. It's important to distinguish between belonging to a church and being a Unitarian Universalist in faith and practice. We have no creedal test for membership in our congregations. People can join without affirming a particular set of beliefs, but that doesn't mean that we don't have a whole series of affirmations based upon our traditions and our formal principles and purposes, which define what a practicing Unitarian Universalist is. I would say that if someone did not believe in the use of the democratic process, for example, or the inherent worth and dignity of every person, he or she might belong to one of our congregations, but his or her beliefs will fall outside the range of what makes for Unitarian Universalism. Third, well, what exactly do Unitarian Universalists believe anyway? Dr. Schultz gives us some examples of what the vast majority of Unitarian Universalists would affirm. One, we reverence the natural world, what our principles and purposes call the interdependent web of existence. And we reject the notion that creation can be divided into natural and supernatural realms. Two, we believe that human beings are responsible for the future, that history is in our hands, not those of an angry God or fate. Three, we believe that life's blessings are available to everyone, not just those who can recite a certain catechism. And four, we believe that those blessings are made manifest to us not just in the miraculous or the extraordinary, but in the simple pleasures of the everyday. Fourth common question, do Unitarian Universalists believe in God? Well, a majority of us are comfortable with the use of the word God, but many Unitarian Universalists would describe themselves as agnostics or even atheists. Those of us who do speak of God do so in a way very different from the conventional. Very few Unitarian Universalists, for example, understand God as a person or being who intervenes in human affairs. Some of us would identify God with the larger cosmic pattern or process, which has made creation possible in the first place. Others would see God as the source of life's gracious gifts, which come to us unbidden and undeserved. Still others would experience God, or the goddess, as that which inspires us to value ourselves and honor the world around us. What is important is not what language we use to express our deepest spiritual longings. What is important is that we take those longings seriously. And the final, most common question, what do Unitarian Universalists believe we must do to be saved? Live life with as much passion, integrity, and care as you can muster. And remember that every single one of us is on a short and perilous pilgrimage. If you can gladden the hearts of those who travel with us, if you can be swift to love, salvation, whatever it may be, will take care of itself. Reverend Greg Ward of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley, California, writes that as UUs, we actually believe more about God, not less. In a sermon he wrote in 2014, he said, we believe that it is possible, we believe that it is impossible that any one approach, one idea, one way of thinking, praying, or preaching could possibly illuminate the many facets of what God can be. We believe that the nature of the holy is too complex, too expansive, too mysterious, and too elusive to be corralled into one entity, one being, one place, one word, one sermon, or even one concept. That the divine nature of the universe is all around us, expressed in every part of creation, including each and every person. We believe that God is more, not less, than what other religions claim her to be. He goes on to say that we do believe that the Bible contains truth, but we also believe that there is more truth being uncovered every day, more than can be contained in any one book, by any one person, or within any one institution. That the revelation of wisdom did not stop when the Bible was finished. We believe that wisdom is abundant and overflowing, woven all throughout our history. It's in our personal experience. It's in our use of reason. It's in the laws of nature and science. And it's in many of the world's other religious traditions. Wherever great men and women have worked for justice, equity, and love, there is truth. We believe that living a religious life calls for more than just listening for what is true. It also requires us to listen for what is not true and stand up in situations where false claims are draped like oppression over people's liberties. We believe more about Jesus as well. We believe he brought about a transformational understanding of how to have more love, more faith, take more risks, and live to the highest potential humanly possible, not because he was a god, for gods can do what mortals cannot, but because he did it as a human being, and that makes his life even more miraculous. We believe that beyond Jesus, there are many others who exemplified such truth and holiness in their living. Gandhi, the Buddha, Lao Tzu, Muhammad, Confucius, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and the Dalai Lama, to name a few. And we believe that this same kind of holiness can be found in countless ordinary lives as we discover the very human revelation that love is stronger than hate, liberation more powerful than slavery, that new life can emerge in a million possible ways even after we think all hope has died. We believe more about salvation, that despite what happens after we die, the here and now surrounds us with all the building blocks of paradise we need. Salvation is more to us than a promise to be cashed in later. It's a promise that our lives, right now, are more important, more influential, more necessary than most of us ever dare to imagine. And finding salvation requires more than reciting dogma or observing ritual. Salvation involves a fierce, daily dedication to love, not only with those we agree with, but with all people. We believe this takes more faith in what's around us, not less. We believe more about humanity as well, that each and every person not only matters in and of ourselves, but they matter tremendously in the great scheme of things. Each person is part of the interdependent web and the evolving network of mutuality. Everyone has worth, regardless of what church you belong to, what faith you hold, what creed you follow, what gender you are, what political affirmations you claim, what sexual orientation, IQ, job you do, car you drive, how pretty you are, or what house you live in. And religion is more than just people. Life on this planet exists only as long as we choose to live in harmony with the sustaining tenets of nature. To live with a lesser consciousness is not only unholy, it is selfish and self-destructive. We believe as well that there is much more to our faith than talking about it. We say that it is in deeds, not creeds, that our faith lives. It is by more than what comes from our lips, but what comes from our lives that our religion is measured. Thank you for listening. And now, before we extinguish the chalice, please remember to stay on for virtual coffee and conversation after our closing hymn. We extinguish the chalice here that it might glow gently in our hearts as we leave this place. And now for our closing words. After our closing words, Whitaker will close us out with hymn 206, Amazing Grace. Remember to stay on the service for virtual coffee and conversation. And now, with unity of spirit, we go our ways in universal fellowship until we meet again. So long.